Okay. Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Sya Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakya Chakshuruntam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurava Bhishtam Supurikam Guraganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Abhidam Ujvalam Varatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Sha Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noi Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Baranam Balarka Chilanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Mandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridaram Vanshakapatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila chapter 12, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. So yesterday we were reading the inscription how Mahaprabhu asked to be able to perform his lila or pastime of cleansing the temple of Gundicha. This is like a day before the Ratha-yatra. So the Jagannath deities will go from the Jagannath Puri temple, which is called Nilachala, to the Gundicha temple, which is called Sundarachala. And it's understood that in the Ratha-yatra, Mahaprabhu's mood is that of Srimati Radharani wanting to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. After he left Vrindavan, he never returned, but the gopis and the residents of Vrindavan met Krishna during the time of the solar eclipse, and they all went to Kurukshetra, and there was Krishna with so many. He came there from Dwarka. And Radharani met with Krishna there, but although she was very glad to be able to see Krishna, she still felt that without the being in Vrindavan, without having Krishna in Vrindavan playing his flute, then the pastimes weren't complete. So actually Kurukshetra is a place of much separation. But that's Mahaprabhu's mood in Ratha-yatra, wanting to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. But before doing so, the temple of Gundicha, since it's only during Ratha-yatra that the Lord goes from Jagannath Puri to Gundicha, Mahaprabhu every year, the day before Ratha-yatra, would do this pastime of his of taking so many of his devotees and thoroughly washing the Gundicha temple. In fact, he did so with, first sweeping several times and then with water pots and throwing water and washing, and even Mahaprabhu's using his own cloth to wipe the simhasan and everything. So we're at that place where it's described how they're cleansing the whole temple of Jagamohan. And then afterwards, there's a fairly long purport. I'd like to read it. It's by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he describes the importance of what it means for us, what it means for everyone, this pastime of Mahaprabhu's cleansing the Gundicha temple, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur draws the parallel of how a person has to cleanse their own mind in order to be able to receive the Lord within their heart. So I'll start with text number 119 of chapter 12, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Tabe prakalana koila Sri Jagamohan Bogamandir Adi tabe koila prakalan. They washed the Jagamohan area, and then the place where food was kept. All other places were also washed. Natashala, Dui, Dwila, Chatvara Prangan, Pakashala, Adikori, Korila, Prakalan. In this way, the meeting place was washed, the entire yard, the raised sitting places, the kitchen, and every other room. This is at the Gundicha temple. Mandarir, Chaturdik, Prakalana, Koila, Sab Antapur, Balu, Mate Doyala. Thus all places around the temple were thoroughly washed within and without. Henakale, Godia, Egg, Subudi Sharala. Thank you. Henakale, Godia, Egg, Subudi Sharala, Prabhu Charana Juge Dila, Gatajala. After everything was thoroughly washed, a Vaishnava from Bengal, who was very intelligent and simple, came and poured water on the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is a Gaudiya Vaishnava. It's one of the devotees who's come from Bengal. And it says here, he's Subudhi Sharo. Subudhi means very intelligent, and Sharo means very simple. So in general, we want devotees to be Sharo, simple, not diplomatic or double dealing or anything like that. But sometimes Srila Govinda Maharaj would use this word Sharo with two meanings. One time he would say that one person is very Sharo, and that means straightforward and good-hearted, clean, a simple person, not too complicated. But sometimes he would use the word sarcastically to mean that somebody is a little naive as to the dealings of this world, who could be cheated or fooled. So sometimes he would use the word Sharo, or Sharo Vaishnava. Sometimes he would use it as very nice, high praise, and sometimes he would use it as to show that you were not aware of all the workings that were behind something. So, sometimes devotees would think something, this is very wonderful, and Govinda Maharaj would say it's not very wonderful because there's some ulterior motive behind this. So, anyway, so he'd use the word Sharo to sometimes one way, sometimes another, and sometimes both ways at once. That was Govinda Maharaj's humor. So this Sharo Vaishnava pours water on the feet of Govinda Maharaj. Pardon me, not on the feet of Govinda Maharaj. Pours water on the feet of Mahaprabhu. And outward, because Mahaprabhu is the Lord, in one sense, there's nothing wrong with this. But in another sense, because he's showing himself to be a devotee, and he's in the temple of the Lord, to have water poured on his feet, he considers that this is like something offensive to do in front of the temple, in front of the deity. So, or in the temple in general. The deities haven't yet arrived, but just to do this in the temple, have his feet washed. He doesn't, inwardly he's okay with this, but outwardly he has to teach the devotees this shouldn't be done, because otherwise, or if somebody does that in the temple of the Lord, it's considered improper. Say jal loyapane panakoila tahadeki prabhurmane dukkha rosha hoila. The Gaudiya Vaishnava then took that water and drank it himself. First he poured it on the Lord's feet, and then he drank the water that had washed the Lord's feet. Seeing that, Mahaprabhu felt a little unhappy and was outwardly angry. Jajapi gosaitare hoyache santosh dharma samstapana lage bahire maharosh. Jai. Sripad Bhakti Chandan Parvat Maharaj ki jai. Although the Lord was certainly satisfied with him, although the Lord was certainly satisfied with that Gaudiya Vaishnava, he became angry externally in order to establish the etiquette of religious principles, showing that an ordinary person should not receive worship in the temple of the Lord. Sikalage swarupe dake kohilatahare deke tomar godiyar vyavahare. As we said, Mahaprabhu is not an ordinary person, so there's nothing at all wrong with that. But he's teaching how a devotee should act by posing or showing himself to be an ordinary, to be just a person, not to be the Supreme Lord. The Lord then called for Swarup Damodar and told him, just see the behavior of your Bengali Vaishnav. Ishwara mandire mor paradoyala sejala apane loya panakoila. This person from Bengal has washed my feet within the temple of the Lord. Not only that, but he has drunk the water himself. Eaparade mor kahan habegati tomara godiya kore etika vajati. I do not know what my destination is because of this offense. Indeed, your Bengali Vaishnava has greatly implicated me. It is significant that Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar that the Bengali Vaishnava was your Gaudiya Vaishnava. This means that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are followers of Mahaprabhu's mission are subordinate to Swarup Damodar. The Parampara system is very strictly observed by Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal secretary was Swarup Damodar. The next group of devotees was the 6 Goswamis and Kaviraj Goswami. It is necessary to observe the Parampara system. That means disciplic succession. So Srila Prabhupada's remarking the fact that he's saying that this Gaudiya Vaishnava is your Gaudiya Vaishnava. That's a good thing to show that that person is under the care of Swarup Damodar and connected with us. Tabe Swarup Gosai Taha Gode Hatadiya Deka Kore Purer Bahir Rakilena Loya. At this point, Swarup Damodar caught the Gaudiya Vaishnava by the neck and, giving him a little push, ejected him from the Gundicha Puri temple and made him stay outside. Puna Ashe Prabhu Pai Korila Binoy Agyaparad Kama Korite Jujai. After Swarup Damodar returned within the temple, he requested Mahaprabhu to excuse that innocent person. Tabe Mahaprabhu Mani Santosh Hoila Sharikori Duipa Ashe Sabare Mashaila. After this incident, Mahaprabhu was very satisfied. He then asked all the devotees to sit down in 2 lines on both sides. So that Gaudiya Vaishnava, he was, let's say, ejected from the temple, and but Swarup Damodar says he's an innocent person, but Mahaprabhu became angry because he's trying to show some etiquette for how people should act within the temple. They shouldn't take personal worship within the temple. Apane basiya maje apanarahate trina kangara kuta lagila kudaite. So because that was being personal worship of Mahaprabhu when he's showing himself to be his devotee, he was annoyed that Gaudiya Vaishnava put him in a situation. He didn't want to be worshipped in the temple of the Lord, and that Gaudiya Vaishnava put him in that position. So he was angry with him to teach the devotees, don't do this in the temple. Apaneva siya maje apanarahate trina kakarakuta lagila kudaite. The Lord then personally sat down in the middle and picked up all kinds of straw, grains of sand, and dirty things. Ki kata kudai sab ekatra koriba jara alpatara tai pita pan loiba. When Mahaprabhu was picking up the straws and grains of sand, he said, I shall gather everyone's collection, and I shall ask whoever has collected less than all the others to pay a fine of sweet cakes and sweet rice. Well, actually what it says is pita pana. It's not exactly sweet cakes and sweet rice. That's the way it's translated, but pita pana is more like some kind of like soft cakes and some drink. So usually, sometimes a fruit drink or something like that. So pita pana, it's a traditional preparation in Bengal. So What? No, it's not like a milkshake. It's like a
milk cake.
Oh, I don't know what I don't know what kind of cake it is. All right. I don't want to get into a cooking lesson. I'm just talking about what it says here, okay? Ematasab Puri Korila Shodan Shitala Nirmala Koila Jena Nijaman. In this way, all the quarters of the Gundicha temple were completely cleansed and cleared. All quarters were cool and spotless, like one's cleansed and pacified mind. Pranalika Chadi Jani Pani Vahaila Nutananadi Jena Samudrik Milila. When the water fell from the different rooms, when the water from the different rooms was finally let out through the halls, it appeared as if new rivers were rushing out to meet the waters of the ocean. So the Gundicha temple was thoroughly swept several times and then washed, and everything was left spotless. Emata Pura Dwara Age Patajat Sakala Shodila Taha Ke Varni Bekat. Outside the gateways of the temple, all the roads were also cleansed, and no one could tell exactly how this was done. So now here's the report. It's a little long, but I think it's really worth hearing. It's Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and it gives some summary of what this all means, cleansing the Gundicha temple. In commenting on the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the world leader, was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna within one's cleansed and pacified heart. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastika, Chaitodarpana Marjanam. In this age, everyone's heart is especially unclean, as confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ridi Antasto Yabadrani. Now the heart is the place of the mind. So in one sense we say heart and mind. Sometimes people think the brain is where the mind is, but we don't. Brain may be necessary for consciousness, but we see the brain as a physical entity, but the mind is not a physical entity. So to locate where the mind is in the brain, you won't have that's another thing. The brain may have some nerve centers and all that, but it's like, for us, it's like a work, like a factory, a workshop. So the reason I mention that, people would say before, oh, the devotees are brainwashed. And I would say, in one sense, well, if your brain is dirty, what's wrong with washing it? No, they're, of course, using brainwashed in the sense of made like little hot, what do they call them? Like little robots or something, like brain dead. But, just saying that Chaitodarpana Marjanam, you're supposed to cleanse. Chaitodarpana Marjanam means, Darpana means a mirror. So your mind is considered the mirror of your consciousness. So cleansing one's heart, cleansing one's mind, that is a necessary thing. Maybe not the brain, but cleansing one's mind. We have so many unwanted, unnecessary, thoughts where the mind is ordering us to perform all kinds of activities for our physical enjoyment in this world, to a point that we become controlled sometimes by the mind. So above the mind is the intelligence, and one is supposed to be able to control the mind by one's intelligence. One time they said to Maharaj Yudhishthir, Govinda Maharaj said this was like a naughty question. He said, in the sense that they asked Maharaj Yudhishthir, your mother is Maharaj Yudhishthir, your mother is Kunti, and she never ages. She's always very beautiful. So you don't ever feel anything towards your own mother, because she's always a very beautiful person. And Maharaj Yudhishthir said, He said, maybe, but he says, I always control whatever I'm doing by my dharma buddhi, which means by my intelligence of what is actually my path in life. Dharma. What is the dharma buddhi? He says, nothing will deviate me because of my dharma buddhi. So Govinda Maharaj called this a naughty question that was asked to Maharaj Yudhishthira. But Maharaj Yudhishthira answered in this way. I control myself by my dharma buddhi. So, one controls the mind with one's intelligence. All right. Anyway, we have to wash away all dirty things accumulated within the heart. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam confirms the statement. Shrinvata Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridiyanta Sto Yabadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead who is Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord, Sri Krishna, Srinvata Svakata Krishna. This is a simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart, and the Lord wants to give directions, but one has to keep one's heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Gundicha temple. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds, or dust, in other words, Anyabilasha Purna, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Lord there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anyabilashita shunyam jnana karmadi yanavritam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, understanding the Lord by speculative knowledge, fruitive activity, severe austerity and penance, and so on. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of God. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our heart unless our hearts are cleansed. So we don't have to have a moving van to move the Lord to our heart. He's already there. And the Bhagavad Gita explains that. Sarvasya chaham sanivishto mata smritir jnanam apovanam cha. The Lord is already in everyone's heart. But you want to make your heart like cleansed, like we cleanse the altar, like we worship the Lord on the altar. You should have your heart in such a way that you can actually worship the Lord within your heart. He's already there, so it's just a question of being able to receive him properly in your heart. A material desire is explained as a desire to enjoy the material world to its fullest extent. In modern language, this is called economic development. An inordinate desire for economic development is considered to be like straws and grains of sand within the heart. If one is overly engaged in material activity, the heart will always remain disturbed, as stated by Narottam Das Thakur. So an inordinate desire to enjoy the material world means not that one will not endeavor for maintenance in order to establish one's life nicely, but at the same time we see people are unnecessarily attached to things that are really, make them work hard, but they're not really things that are vital for their existence. Like so many things of status symbols and so many things like this that people have to have without being happy, and therefore they sell their life energy to the attainment of something that, like some people they'll want to have it. a trophy wife. So why don't they just be satisfied with whoever came in second or third place? Anyway, samsara vishanale divya nishi hiya jwale judaite na koinu upai. In other words, endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of devotional service. Material enjoyment includes activities such as great sacrifices for auspicious activity, charity, austerity, elevation to the higher planetary system, and even living happily within the material world. So, one of the things that's against devotional service is over endeavor for mundane things. Modernized material benefits are like the dust of material contamination. When this heart is agitated by the whirlwind of fruitive activity, it overcomes the heart. Thus the mirror of the heart is covered with dust. There are many desires to perform auspicious and inauspicious activities, but people do not know how life after life they are keeping their hearts unclean. One who cannot give up the desire for fruitive activity is understood to be covered by the dust of material contamination. Karmis, or those interested in material activity, generally think that the interaction of fruitive activities can be counteracted by another karma or another kind of activity. This is certainly a mistaken conception. If one is deluded by such a conception, one is cheated by his own activities. Such activities have been compared to an elephant's bathing. An elephant may bathe very thoroughly, but as soon as it comes out of the river, it immediately takes some sand from the land and throws it all over its body. And I saw this when I was in St. Petersburg. They had some group from a circus come to one festival we had, and they brought elephants and all that. And then they took the elephants and they bathed them in the Baltic Sea, which is right near our land. And I saw the elephants went in the water, and they're happy and everything. And as soon as they came out of the water onto the sand there with their trunks, immediately grabbed handfuls of sand, and they're throwing it all over themselves and the rider on top of them. They're throwing that sand all over. An elephant may bathe very thoroughly, but as soon as it comes out of the river, it immediately takes some sand from the land and throws it all over its body. If one suffers due to his past fruitive activity, he cannot counteract his suffering by performing auspicious activities. The suffering of human society cannot be counteracted by material plans. The only way these sufferings can be mitigated is by Krishna consciousness. When one takes to Krishna consciousness and engages oneself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, the cleansing of the heart begins. When the heart is actually cleansed, one can clearly see the Lord sitting there without any disturbance. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord confirms that he sits within the heart of the pure devotee. Sadavo hridayam mayam sarunam hridayam tvaham. In personal speculation, monism merging into the existence of the supreme, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and meditation are all compared to grains of sand. They simply cause irritation to the heart. No one can satisfy the Lord by such activities, nor do we give the Lord a chance to sit in our hearts peacefully. Rather, the Lord is simply disturbed by them. Sometimes yogis and jnanis in the beginning take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as a way to begin their various practices. But when they falsely think they have attained release from the bondage of material existence, they give up chanting. They do not consider that the ultimate goal is the form of the Lord or the name of the Lord. Such unfortunate creatures are never favored by the Lord, for they do not know what devotional service is. Lord Krishna describes them in the Bhagavad Gita in this way. Tanaham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradaman shipami ajasram ashubham ashurish veva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Okay, well, some admonition there against, persons who falsely proclaim themselves to be released from material bondage by some kind of process manufactured in some yoga factory, like that. Anyway, by his practical example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us that all the grains of sand must be picked up thoroughly and thrown outside. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the temple, cleansed the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sand would come within. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains that even though one may become free from the desire for fruitive activity, sometimes a subtle desire for fruitive activity again comes into being within the heart. One often thinks of conducting business to improve devotional activity, but the contamination is so strong that it may later develop into misunderstanding, described as kutinati, fault-finding, and pratishtasa, the desire for name and fame and for high position, jivahimsa, envy of other living entities, nishidachar, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra, kama, desire for material gain, and puja, hankering for popularity. The word kutinati means duplicity. As an example of pratishtasa, one may attempt to imitate Srila Haridas Thakur by living in a solitary place. One's real desire may be for name and fame. In other words, one thinks that fools will accept one to be as good as Haridas Thakur just because one lives in a solitary place. These are all material desires. A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desires for women and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of a materialist. Gradually, one desires to become a reputed devotee or an avatar incarnation. So I guess that's another logical step. One will graduate into the status of considering oneself an avatar. Some humor in that anyway. The word jivahimsa, envy of other living entities, actually means stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. Preaching work is described as parupakar, welfare activities for others. Also, parupakar means also wanting to do good for other persons. That should be something of the reasons why one is acting, not for benefit for oneself. Preaching work is described as paropakar, welfare activity for others. Those who are ignorant of the benefits of devotional service must be educated by preaching. If one stops preaching and simply sits down in a solitary place, one is engaging in material activity. If one desires to make a compromise with the Mayavadis, he is also engaged in material activity. Mayavadis means impersonalists. A devotee should never make compromises with non-devotees. By acting as a professional guru, mystic yogi, or a miracle man, one may cheat and bluff the general public and gain fame as a wonderful mystic, but all this is considered to be dust, straw, and grains of sand within the heart. In addition, one should follow the regulative principles and not desire illicit sex, gambling, intoxicants, or meat. I remember when I was new, before I even met the devotees, I met somebody in Holland. He had some following, but, regarded him as somewhat humorous, but really, he proclaimed that he was an incarnation of God, this man. He had some, but I saw that he smoked cigars. So I said, well, if you're an incarnation of God, how is it that you're smoking cigars? And he said, well, if I didn't smoke cigars, would that make me an incarnation? I said, certainly not. And he said, well then. That was his logic. To give us practical instructions, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple twice. His second cleansing was more thorough. The idea was to throw away all the stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. He cleansed the temple with firm conviction, as is evident from his using his own personal garments for cleansing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see personally that the temple was thoroughly cleansed to the standard of clean marble. Clean marble gives a cooling effect. Devotional service means attaining peace from all disturbance caused by material contamination. So I remember I was living in India for 5 years, but my parents were living near Los Angeles. They went to the Los Angeles temple while I was in India, and they met Srila Prabhupada. But they wrote me, one of the things they wrote me, they didn't really know anything about devotional service, but they were impressed by how clean the Los Angeles temple was, all marble and very cleansed. And they said, anything that is this clean, we're in favor of. That was one of their statements. So they could understand by, sometimes they say cleanliness is next to godliness. Now, I don't know if I survived that test all the time, but that is a good. My parents took that as an indication just by seeing that the devotional service that went into keeping the temple so beautiful. Devotional service means attaining peace from all disturbances caused by material contamination. In other words, it is a process by which the mind is cooled. The mind can be peaceful and thoroughly cleansed when one no longer desires anything but devotional service. Even though all dirty things may be cleansed away, sometimes subtle desires remain in the mind for impersonalism, monism, success, and the four principles of religious activity, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. That means formalistic religion. Artha means that's dharma. Artha means economic development or making money, Kama means enjoying, and moksha means liberation. So these are normal religious activities, but it says here, which we already know, even though all dirty things may be cleansed away, sometimes subtle desires remain in the mind for impersonalism, monism, success, and the four religious principles of religious activity, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. All these are like spots on clean cloth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to cleanse all these away. By his practical activities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed us how to cleanse our hearts. Once the heart is cleansed, we should invite Lord Sri Krishna to sit down, and we should observe the festival by distributing prasadam and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to teach every devotee by his personal behavior. Everyone who spreads the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts a similar responsibility. The Lord was personally chastised and praising individuals in the course of the cleansing, in the course of the cleaning. And those who are engaged as acharyas must learn from Mahaprabhu how to train devotees by one's personal example. The Lord was very pleased with those who could cleanse the temple by taking out undesirable things accumulated within. This is called anartha nivritti, cleansing the heart of all unwanted things. Thus, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple was conducted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let us know how the heart should be cleansed and soothed to receive Lord Sri Krishna and enable him to sit within the heart without disturbance. Well, I'll stop here, but I've always liked this. It's a nice analogy. It's just the commentary by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It's just like indicating that, what are we doing? What is actual devotional service about? We are spreading this to other persons, but it's supposed to function on an individual level. One should be able to actually, develop, advance in the understanding so that one heart becomes cleansed. And we're all doing this, and it's always going on continually. It's not that one has attained some kind of static success and then from there on, maybe in the case of a very highly evolved devotee, they will, be on this level of always perceiving the Lord within their heart. That's described. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santasa Daiva Hridayeshu Valokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achinti Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Parusham Tamaham Bhajami. That when one's eyes are anointed with the ointment of love of Godhead, and one can perceive within one's heart, Shishi, Radha Shama Sundar Radha, the Lord and Radharani within one's heart. One can perceive them. Now, of course, that's the case of a very advanced devotee. And we may not have attained that level of realization or advancement. But as I've always said, when you are moving towards the desired goal, it's like if you are proceeding along a path where you're going to a destination, but you maybe have not reached that destination yet. You can see on the map that there are intermediary points that you have passed along your journey. Maybe you're traveling to some destination, you haven't got there yet, but you can see on the map, oh, I was supposed to have passed this city, and yes, I have passed that city, and now this city is coming up. Okay, here is the city. Now I've passed that city, and one is going on. So one knows that one is on the right path because, we hear descriptions of how one is advancing. So the first step will be anartha nivritti, taking out all the unwanted things from our heart. Now that is not something that can be just done overnight. Anartha nivritti, the cleansing of one's heart, that's an ongoing process of surrender. Then you can't talk about developing some actual spontaneous attraction or love of Godhead on the higher level without having cleansed one's heart. But this process is not one of just memorization or anything like that. It's actually a process of realization too. And you'll be able to realize from within your heart signs that you can hear. Oh, I can understand it. Many times I'll be reading something, and maybe I've read it. Maybe I've read it, 100 times. But maybe suddenly some meaning jumps out at me, and I've read that all these times, but I never understood that point before, or never thought about that point before. But now I can see what they're talking about, what is being talked about. So like that, one gets some internal realization. Sometimes Gurudev may explain something to you, but you don't understand that. And then later, the understanding will show itself, just like some light will illuminate. And I remember in the beginning when I met the devotees, they would read from the books, and I was very attracted by one book called The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya that Srila Prabhupada had written. It's like a summary study of the philosophical parts of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I remember I didn't understand so many things that were written in that book, but I always loved the book. It was very beautiful. And I may not have understood everything, but when I read it, I felt like I was, on, what can you say, on a cloud, just floating very beautifully. I thought it was so nice. And now I'm reading what I heard in the summary study that I thought was so beautiful, and it is so beautiful. And I'm reading that now, the whole volumes of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, reading them over and over in the class. And somebody may say, oh, I've already heard that. Well, yeah, but you heard it, but how? We're hearing, but that hearing also, even you may not understand, but hearing will actually have some effect. Anyway, I had that original attraction to that book, and now I'm seeing that book helped show me what later was to come. Very nice book. So I'll stop here. We'll sing Hari Haraya, then go on with breakfast. Okay. Someone can just, when they sing, they can turn the camera to show the deities, and then like that. Then we'll end this. We're transmitting this over Facebook Live. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Janabaya Nama Jarabaya Madhabaya Vasa Parikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhare Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramasa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tata Sada Shishiman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramasa Parabhajaka Charya Ashta Tata Sada Shishiman Srila Bhakti Ratha-yatra Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dash Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Nartam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ramayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Manarani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan, Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Sripad Bhakti Chandan Parvat Maharaj Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Maharaj Ki Jai. So you can push. I don't know that. I have a question for all of you.